Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're now going to have our speaker tonight, Brother JC, awesome brother, a monk. Some of you may know him as a producer. He's distributed over 200,000 books, spiritual yoga texts that we have. So let's give this awesome brother a round of applause as he comes up and shares a beautiful message.
So I'm going to talk today about the yoga of earth. That's the talk title. I want to shout out Hari Bhakta. He kind of came up with that talk title. So yeah, it sounds pretty cool, right? And yeah, let's just kind of get into it. What do I mean by the yoga of earth? I actually just got back from New York City about a week ago. Have any of you guys been to New York? Wow, a lot of people. Yeah, and this right here is actually my itinerary for New York, like my travel schedule, etc. But I decided to write all my notes on the back of this paper. And every time I see like blank pieces of paper, I really take advantage of it. I want to collect it, I want to save it. I even have a folder that has all these notes, and it's all pretty much categorized from all the talks I've given in the past few years. and they could be in the back of napkins, they could be in the back of receipts, whatever it may be. So just taking something that I would normally just throw in the trash can, it's considered trash, but actually turning it into a treasure. So does anybody else do something like this? Kind of recycle somewhat and become creative with the things that they got? Yeah? And show of hands? Yeah? Does anybody want to mention maybe something that you guys recycle? Yeah, see?
You know, when you got like your glass jars and like mayonnaise or something like that.
Yeah.
You reuse it to drink something later on, you know.
Yeah, that's nice, yeah. How about anyone else? Yeah?
I like the term unused scraps of wood in the furniture.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, you look like a very woodsman type of person, so it's excellent. Yeah, I think it's so important because we've heard that currently America, or just the Western civilization, or even just the world in general now, we're called a consumer society, which means we like to consume things a lot. But not only are we a consumer society, we're also a wasteful society. We like to throw away things a lot as well. And previously, I would say maybe 40, 50 years ago, things used to really be passed down. If somebody grew up with toys or certain utensils, you would pass them down to the next generation. But these days, we just trash everything. We just throw them away. And I heard a very interesting statistic which was really shocking to me. They said that in 25 years from now, there might be more plastic than fish in the ocean. Can you guys imagine something like that? So, why do you think that is? Why do you think we're moving in this direction so much?
We consume a lot.
We consume a lot, yeah?
And our rulers don't care about the environment or something.
Yeah.
Personally, it's something convenient for me. I'll just choose a convenient route, not all the time, but that's the tendency for most people is to choose a convenient route, and a lot of times that's the wasteful thing to do.
Yeah. Yes?
I think we replace a lot of things that aren't broken, or if they are broken, don't try to fix it. We just buy a new one. Yeah.
And it's so amazing because that type of understanding then goes into our relationships. If we're having fights with somebody, if there's some types of conflict, we just feel, okay, let me just throw this person out. Let's just get a new one. So it's so subtle, but it's so important that we're becoming this very wasteful society currently. I actually have a friend who is he's a truck driver by profession, and he's like your normal, typical truck driver. You can imagine the truck driver hat, the like the lumberjack clothes. He drives around United States. He has this big truck, and he's a heavy meat eater as well. And he just called me about a few weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey JC, you won't believe this, but I became a vegan." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's right, I don't believe it." And he's like, no, it's true, I became a vegan. So I was like, whoa, how did that happen? Like, what made you do that? And he said that, is this thing moving? It's like, whoa.
It's the fan.
Yeah, everything's alive. I asked him, like, what made you become a vegan? He said that when he drives across United States in his truck, he sees these big pasturing grounds with cows roaming freely, etc. And then he also sees trucks with cows inside trapped, and he knows where these cows are headed. And so he just had a consciousness shift just by observing his environment. And he realized, I can't take part in something like this. And so I'm just thinking that in the same way that he has become more healthy, more health conscious, more environmentally friendly, just by observing his environment, maybe we should do the same thing when it comes to helping the ecology. When we hear about statistics like more plastic than fishes, etc. So I think what needs to happen is just more consciousness, more awareness to maybe help with this current situation. One of my teachers, his name is Radhanath Swami, he has an eco-village in India. And this eco-village is extraordinary because as soon as you walk in, you see these plants and you see these grounds, and they're so green, they're so lush. I've never seen plants and fruits and water and everything just thriving so much. And everything is recycled there. Everything that's wasteful becomes a resource. So if you throw napkins in the trash can, if you got plastic plates, whatever it may be, they have the technology to turn that into oil, turn that into different types of systems of just putting it back into the environment. And it's kind of funny, he has these really huge papayas. Have you guys eaten papayas before? Yeah, they're pretty good, right? So like I'm saying, everything gets recycled at this eco-village, including the human sewage. So when we go to the bathroom, it goes through like 7 different chambers. It goes through rocks and herbs and all these filtration systems until it comes back and becomes pure water again. And then they use that same water to plant all the fruits and vegetables. So they're called papayas, but the way they call them there, can anybody guess what they call them? They call them poopayas. Yeah. Would you guys eat that? Yeah, they're actually like humongous. And the yoga texts are trying to actually teach us that nothing is really ours. We don't really own anything at the end of the day. We are very temporary. We're dealing with temporary objects, and it seems that we tend to take possession over these material acquisitions, and we have a lot of greed, and this is where the root of all problem comes from. Gandhi, he stated that there's enough in this world for everybody's need, but not enough in this world for everybody's greed. And so the way to properly see this material reality is, rather than thinking we are owners, we should see ourselves as caretakers. We are here for a temporary time. Whatever we have in our possession, we should take care of it as caretakers, and then learn to pass it down to future generations. I have another teacher as well. His name is Prabhupada. And back in the 60s and 70s, he was also walking through India in this really open field. And he had all his students walking behind him. They were going on this morning walk. And all of a sudden, he stops while they're walking, and he says, "Turn that off." And all the students are kind of like looking around. What do you mean, turn that off? Turn what off? And he says it again, "Turn that off." And the students are looking, they can't figure it out. What does he mean by turn it off? So then Prabhupada himself walks about 50 feet, and he comes across this water pipe. And there's small drips of water coming down out of the water pipe, and he shuts it tightly. And he says everything is the divine's energy. We should not waste a drop. And I find this really wonderful. I feel that after I heard about this story, I was also becoming more conscious. I've been living for the last 5-6 years as a practicing monk, working on my internal self, and we share a common laundry room. And in the laundry room, it can be very sunny outside, it can be pure daylight, and I'll go to the laundry room and the lights are on. So just becoming conscious of these things, turning the lights off, understanding that we should do what we can to help Mother Earth. At the end of the day, Mother Earth is a mother, and the way we treat Mother Earth is, I think, how we will also treat other people. So it's just building that type of awareness, seeing that even these small steps that we're taking, they have butterfly effects to help spread goodness throughout the world. It's the best thing we can do. And it's not that we are against technology or all this advancement. Actually, the yoga texts say that we should use machines for the benefit of Mother Earth. We should use our technology to help advance and create awareness. It's very unlikely we can live like cavemen these days. So the principle is just use everything you have for higher consciousness, higher awareness. There's a musician named Bob Dylan. You guys heard of Bob Dylan? Yeah? He's probably in the top 20 musicians of all time, according to Rolling Stones, etc. And he has a lyric in one of his songs that's always really stood out to me. And maybe I can say the lyric, and then maybe you can analyze what it means. He says, when you see your neighbor carrying something, help him with his load. And don't go mistaking paradise for that home across the road. Did you guys catch that? When you see your neighbor carrying something, help him with his load. And don't go mistaking paradise for that home across the road. What do you think that means?
It means if we help the neighbor, it's better than we think after we die, we go to heaven. This is better than that.
Yeah, actually paradise, we think, is even on this planet, it's a place like Jamaica or Cuba, or the beaches or the sands. That's paradise. But no, real paradise is actually when we help people. That is inner paradise. That is when we will find true satisfaction in life. And I was even looking at the etymology of this word family, because that's what we're trying to do ultimately in the day. We're trying to make the world into a family. We're trying to create families wherever we go. The word family comes from the word familias, and familias means to serve. So a true family serves each other. They help each other. And I think we should also include Mother Earth in our family. We should see Mother Earth as one of our family members. And like that, we can do incredible things in this world. Whenever I think of serving others, I think about this story that happened to me one time living as a monk. Some days out of the year, we have to do these fasts or fasting. And there's a particular fast we do called Nirjala fasting. Jala means water, and Nir means no. So Nirjala fasting literally means no water fasting for the day. And for me, yeah.
What about food?
Yeah, nothing. Just no fruit, no water, just pretty much air. That's the Nirjala fasting. And for me, I mean, although I'm like skinny, I do like to eat. Like it's very hard for me to fast. So I remember, like, by the end of this day of Nirjala fasting, I mean, I was feeling like a lion. I just couldn't, like, couldn't even think. And the next day I woke up and I was practically ready to devour, but we had to wait until breakfast time. And the breakfast is served in this special room where all the monks gather. And they don't serve the breakfast until there's enough servers. So they still needed 3 servers to serve the breakfast. And you look at all the monks after Nirjal fasting, it's like looking at a football team. They're so starving, and so the head monk, he's like, okay, we need 3 more servers. Can we have 3 more servers? And nobody's raising their hand. And I'm like, come on, what's wrong with you people? Like, we gotta eat right now. And finally, someone threw his hand up. I'm like, all right, good, you know. And then he's like, 2 more servers. And again, there's some delay. Finally, somebody puts his hands up. And then there's 1 more server. We need 1 more server. And still nobody is coming forward. And I'm like, come on, man, let's go. And I don't know what happened. I didn't even want to do this, but my hand just like shot up. And I'm like, hey, man, put that down. And he's like, okay, you, come. And I'm like, oh, man, like, here we go. Because if you serve, then you got to be the last one to eat. And you got to serve everyone else. So I got into the line, got into the formation, wore like those cafeteria hats or whatever, and took my rice and just started like, here you go, enjoy, you know, to the first guy that came, like, have fun. And then the next one came, and I'm like, here you go. And it was just so interesting. As each person was coming one by one, I started to feel a lot of satisfaction. I was actually starting to get full. Actually, at the end of the whole service, I wasn't even hungry anymore. And I just found this really incredible, that if we just step outside of our I and my centers and we learn to serve others, we will find a real deep inner satisfaction, a deep nourishment that money can't really buy. And there's somebody named Chanakya Pandit. He was around Buddha's time. He was a real leader at that time. And he has this quote that kind of summarizes this story. He says that he feeds on nectar who first feeds his people and then eats the leftovers. And I personally felt that quote, that when we actually learn to share the enjoyment of whatever it is that we're taking part in, just increases more and more. So this type of understanding, this type of philosophy is the type of yoga that we practice. Does anybody know the type of yoga that we practice? Bhakti. Bhakti yoga is the name of the yoga of service, the yoga of devotion. And I think it's so needed in times right now. So we're just doing what we can to help inspire people to learn to come together as communities and do what they can to become instruments. We are actually all instruments of the divine. And just like if you come across a guitar string, anybody here play guitar? Some people, yeah. How many strings are on a guitar? 6 strings, okay. Let's say one of the strings was ripped out and it's just lying on the floor somewhere. What value does that string really have when it's disconnected from the guitar? You might pick that string up. I mean, maybe you can like floss your teeth with it, but what else can you really do with it? It's practically useless. But as soon as you connect that string to the guitar, all of a sudden it has immense value. You can create beautiful sounds. You really become useful at that moment. So in the same way, we are all guitar strings. And if we connect to the guitar, if we connect to the whole, then we can also play beautiful sounds. We can create harmony in this world. And that is what the yoga texts are trying to teach. A materialist is decorated by his fine jewelry, and a spiritualist is decorated by his fine qualities. It's about developing from within. It's about working on your inner character, your inner nature, your inner paradise. And when we focus on that, then we can see that we can lessen the amount of times that we criticize others, that we find fault in others, all these negative qualities. When you criticize, you actually diminish your size. You guys like that one? Yeah. I should just start a clothing line, you know? Cool. Yeah. And if we find faults with people, it's actually pointing a finger at someone. You got 3 fingers pointing right back at you. You know, we should always see things in this way. And are we really wishing people well? Or are we wishing that they're actually inside the well? You know, we gotta like think about these things. And yoga actually helps purify these types of negative tendencies, these types of negative thoughts, until you just want to become an instrument of gratitude, an instrument of service to the divine. And that is ultimately what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a spiritual family. It's common that you find in books like Bhagavad Gita and the other yoga texts, they say that we are not this body. What do you think they mean when they say we are not this body? Can anybody say?
That we're just souls and we're given this vehicle to help others and live life.
Yeah, we're just souls and we're just given this vehicle to help others in life. I think that's a brilliant way to just simplify it and say it. Yeah, when I was in New York, I was staying with this very wealthy individual, and he wanted to take me to the best pizza spot in town, because New York is known for their pizza. But the New York Times just wrote an article that said if you want the best pizza in New York, then you gotta go to New Jersey. So we went to New Jersey, and the whole place was just packed. It was something I've never seen before. And I had the pizza. I was like, yeah, this pizza, it's pretty good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I like it. But then there was a guy from Chicago there, and he was like, yeah, this pizza is all right, but Chicago pizza is the best pizza. You cannot beat Chicago. And then there was a guy from New York there, and he was like, this New Jersey pizza, it's cool. Chicago pizza, it's all right, but New York pizza is the best. And I'm seeing these people almost get into an argument. So I was just thinking, just how we say we're not this body, we're also not this pizza. Yeah. We get wrapped up a lot in these designations. So the yoga texts are just trying to teach us that we are more than what we see on the outside. We are all connected to a global spiritual family coming from that divine. We're all guitar strings. And we just have to learn to purify the mind from all the negative dust clouds that we have. When we purify the mind from the negative dust clouds, then the sun can really come out and you can really shine. I'll end with this last example. There's a really incredible temple in Laguna Beach. Have any of you guys been to Laguna Beach Temple before? Some of you guys, yeah? What were your guys' thoughts? What do you guys think of the temple? It's cool?
It's like a spiritual rejuvenation place. Like I go there on Sunday and I feel like I'm just like rejuvenated for the whole week.
Yeah, so instead of going to like your spa bath, you can just go to the Laguna Beach Temple. It's almost the same thing. It's better actually. It's right on the ocean. It overlooks the entire ocean. It has just amazing, wonderful people. And about a few months ago, I was driving there, and I was with my partner. He's been a monk for 45 years. We're partners in distributing books, so we travel around the country sometimes, and we give out spiritual knowledge to colleges and music festivals, places like that. And we were looking at all these mountains as we were driving to Laguna Beach, and they were completely brown. They were very dark, and at that time it was because there was a drought, so there was no rain coming. And my partner was pointing out to me that this is not natural. This is not actually how the mountain is supposed to look. And then a few weeks later, we went driving again to Laguna Beach, and all of a sudden they're lush green. They look very bright. They look very effulgent. And that's because the rain came. So in the same way, that rain is a analogy or symbol of something coming from a pure conscious state, coming from above. And when that rain hits those dark mountains, they return back to their natural state. In the same way, the rain for us is having these types of spiritual associations. It's by reading spiritual literature. It's by doing different mantra meditations. It's by just living a more conscious ecological life. And then we can also return back to our natural state. To recap, the yoga of earth is understanding that we are not the true proprietors, but we are simply caretakers, and we should become instruments for the divine as guitar strings. And if we live in this way, if we live in a mood of service and trying to take ourselves out of the center, but do what we can to inspire others, then truly we will find such a deep satisfaction that it will feel like paradise on the planet. And it's most needed right now. You can see all the different tabloids and news articles and TED Talks, and everywhere you look, this is the actual crisis going on, lack of consciousness of our surroundings. So like that, we can come together, we can inspire each other, and we can do what we can to live a glorious life. Thank you very much. Does anybody have like a quick question that they might have, or thought, or feedback? I usually just like call on people. So Vicky, you want to say something?
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
No problem.
No problem.
Well, I've said this to you before, but I really like how you explain the words and like where it comes from. And you should start a clothing brand or something.
Yeah.
Or like JC's quotes or something.
Yeah.
Bumper stickers. Bumper stickers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do a whole like franchise. It's coming.
Make it proud.
Yeah, really cool.
Or just proud.
You want to say something? Yeah, any of you guys. Go ahead.
So I was thinking about the earlier thing you said about people criticizing. So I just came across this thought where Buddha, there's one quote from Buddha, and it implies that when you purchase a gift for someone, and it belongs to you because you have purchased it, but it's the purchaser thinks that it belongs to someone else because he's eventually going to gift it to that person. But that gift really doesn't, even if he gives it to that person, the gift doesn't belong to that person until he accepts it or she accepts it. So similarly, when someone abuses you or criticizes you, and you don't have to feel anything about it, or just you can still ignore it because it doesn't belong to you until you accept it.
Right.
So it's
Yes.
just an analogy.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. Yeah, thank you for that point. Yeah.
Like what you said about the unnatural state of the mountain is dead. When you get that nourishment, that rain, it flourishes, it feels much better.
Yeah. So maybe we can all shower our mercy on the planet and do what we can to purify our atmospheres so we can turn everything lush. Cool, thank you so much. I want to introduce our next singer for the night. Her name is Priya Darshini, and she's been practicing a bhakti yoga lifestyle since she was in the womb, I think. So yeah, it's just really incredible, and she was actually my top choice to get tonight as a singer because she has very soulful sounds, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. So let's give her a round of applause.